Poole and Rosenthal construct an index ranging from negative 1.0, which is the most liberal, to positive 1.0, the most conservative, and assign a score to every member of Congress based on their voting record for each session dating back to the late 19th century. 0.0 in their scoring would represent the purely moderate member of Congress. This chart is only dealing with the House, but the patterns you see here are very similar for the Senate. Now, bear in mind that any individual could have a combination of conservative and liberal views, and could vote on the liberal or conservative policy preference on any given roll call vote. The scores assigned to each individual are averages of all the scores in a particular session. Therefore, the scores assigned to the parties, which you see here, are the cumulative averages of each member of the party. So what do we see here? First, Poole and Rosenthal have disaggregated the members into four groups: Republicans, Democrats as a whole, Northern Democrats, and Southern Democrats. Understanding that, we can make some interpretations of this chart. Now let's start with the Republican Party. The Republicans have always been the more conservative party. Beginning around 1912, the average GOP member of the House began to become somewhat gradually less conservative. This moderating trend appeared to have ended around 1978 to 1980, when the party began to become more conservative on average. Today, the average Republican is more conservative than at any previously recorded point in the Poole and Rosenthal data. The Democratic Party. Notice that around 1879, the ideological gap between Northern and Southern Democrats is fairly small. Southern Democrats begin as the most liberal faction in Congress. Right around 1932, which is the election of FDR, there is no discernible difference in ideology between Northern and Southern Democrats. After 1932, however, Southern Democrats become more conservative, though not technically conservative on this scale, than Northern Democrats. The gap between these branches of the party is widest during the 1950s and the 1960s, which incidentally marked the peak of the Civil Rights era. Lastly, let's consider the growing gap between the parties. One can notice two important factors post-1980s. First, we see the pronounced rightward shift of the Republican Party. Based on their data, it would appear that the GOP has shifted harder to the right than the Democratic Party has shifted to the left. Second, notice the difference between Northern and Southern Democrats gradually eroded beginning in the late 1960s, and today is virtually non-existent. This is a function in part of Southern Democrats leaving the Democratic Party and joining the Republican Party. This was particularly pronounced in 1980 when Reagan Democrats contributed significantly to Ronald Reagan's election as president.